Hello, Shrunkle Spurt here, and today going to be indulging in my favourite hobby of day drinking. I'm going to be attempting one of the most popular bar crawls here in good old London town, the Bermondsey Beer Mile. Now, the Bermondsey Beer Mile is a mostly straight line, which is kind of ironic because if you actually conquer this boozy beast, you'll be walking in anything but a straight line. And that line follows the train tracks which run from London Bridge to Bermondsey, linking together a whole bunch of microbreweries and taprooms which have sprung up over the past sort of decade or so, most of them squirreled away inside those railway arches. I've never actually done this before, but there seems to be a whole bunch of debate about which way around you actually do the Bermondsey Beer Mile, whether you start at London Bridge, work your way towards Bermondsey, or do it in the reverse direction. And by a lot of heated debate online, I basically mean if you disagree with anyone on Reddit, they of course tell you to f*** off, get cancer and die. God bless you internet, never change. Well, today we've tactically decided to start at the Bermondsey end and then work our way towards London Bridge, because that way, at the end of it all, we could just flop straight onto a train and get our merry selves back home, assuming we actually, of course, make it that far. And hey, it's not just beer, so if you do end up on the Bermondsey Beer Mile and you don't like beer, things have kind of gone a bit wrong for you, but there's wine and stuff too. I mean, Christ, they've even got cider if you're into the old fizzy apple juice. Now, on a Saturday, most bars are actually open by noon, so ideally you'd start hitting them sort of late morning and then just smash your way through the entire lot. You've got the full day then to work with. Unfortunately, it's almost 2 p.m. already, so we're already sort of slicing into that time. This here is the Maltby Street marker, which is down the London Bridge end of the mile, so if you are starting from here, would recommend dropping off and just grabbing some food to pad the old stomach, because remember Uncle Spurt's first rule of day drinking, always pad that stomach. And I did so at the starting bar, which serves up a whole bunch of tasty Japanese style grub from Yagi Izakaya. I highly recommend the perfectly fried chicken. It's completely boneless and it comes smothered in creamy parmesan. Bit of a step up from the old Dallas fried chicken, and that I didn't have leaky guts the next day. Now this feels like an appropriate beginning for this pissy pilgrimage, as Kernel was the first brewery that opened on the mile. The actual brewery itself is currently located a few streets away in Dockley Road. But here at 132 Spa Road you'll find their taproom, which boasts a generous variety of beers, and frankly you could spend all day here just drinking everything on offer. I opted for a mosaic, which was rather splendid. Could have happily smashed several pints of that, but as this was the first stop of about 15, I rather wisely decided to just stick with a half for now. Oh, by the way, it's currently the morning after the Bermondsey Beer Mile. I'm recording this in retrospect and feeling less than fresh. I'll be honest, it kind of tastes like Satan threw up in my mouth. But, you know, absolutely do not let that put you off. Now, the next spot is just a short waddle down the road, Mash Paddle Brewery. And this place is interesting because it's not actually a regular brewery. What it is if you fancy getting into brewing yourself but you don't have the space or the equipment to get started, well, they will help you out, give you what you need, so you don't have to resort to knocking up a batch in the bathtub. And they also have a tap room where you can sample a selection of beers, including some of those brewed at Mash Paddle, naturally. We tried out the Flight, where you can sample 3 of their 4 beers for £8. And the Saison, or Saison, or however you bloody say it, was definitely my favourite. Top marks all round, loads of flavour, despite the low booze count. They also get bonus points for the Dad Rock, who's loving the bit of Toto when that came on. And if you happen to get peckish, well, no worries, there's a pizza van sat right outside Bananarama. Now, after leaving Mash Paddle, it's just a short wander to Enid Street, which in itself is a perfect mini bar crawl because it's absolutely packed to the bollocks with loads of drinking halls, and they're all a short wee stagger apart. Now, Enid St Tavern isn't a brewery, it is basically just a bar, although it kind of counts as a tap room as it is owned by Bianca Road Brewing, which we'll be stumbling to in a bit. You can get some Bianca Road beers there. And it also gets bonus points for being right next to a cheese place. You know, in case the parmesan chicken and the pizza wasn't already enough to block you up for a week. Next up was the Craft Beer Junction, which is literally next door. Already loving this bar crawl, minimal exercise, maximum drinking. And again, it's another not a brewery, it's just a bar. And in fact, from the outside, when it's empty, it looks more like a murder garage. This again serves up a wide variety of beer, mostly from various breweries scattered across the UK. Well, they also had a couple of international brews on tap and loads of colourful cans in the fridge. I opted for my first double digits brew of the day here, a little bit early perhaps, but it was a Bearwood Stout clocking in at a tasty 10.5%, and it was bloody lovely despite the strength. But given the state of me this morning, I'm really glad I didn't opt for a pint of the bugger. And then next up on the list is Bianca Road, and we're back on track as this is an actual brewery. Gotta say, the logo strongly reminds me of Vault City, another favourite of mine that does all kinds of horrendous sours. And just thinking about Vault City got me in a sours kind of mood, so I decided to try their Razzmatazz, which is a raspberry sour. And I think my incredibly manly, tiny glass of pink beer might have basically got me cancelled by my fellow beer buddies. But it was bloody lovely, so worth it. And also, I have to point out, love this photo on their official website, because it kind of looks like the dude's about to do a Scrooge McDuck and belly flop right into the brew. Now, British beer fans have probably encountered Cloudwater at some point, as the Manc brewery is already pretty bloody big by now. And they've got a taproom here on Enid Street as well, just a short stagger along from Bianca. Now, when I think of Cloudwater, I always think of DDH deeper style beers that are always 7% plus, which at this stage in the mile, quite a dangerous move, even though I already saw we're bloody 10% stout. And apparently I decided to go for a fruity wheat beer, though I'd already forgotten what I'd ordered by the time I got back from the bar.
Mango and banana wheat beer? Is that what it was?
And also, apparently, I'd had enough booze by this point where I decided to get all arty with some of my content capture in a tragic attempt to elevate this video beyond just a crappy bar crawl vlog. Oh look, some shiny pipes emerging from the bogs. You're welcome. Now, if you fancy breaking up the 15-second shuffle to the next taproom on the list, which is Moor Beer, well, you can always spot a Gosnells, which is lovingly sandwiched right between Moor and Cloudwater. And this serves up honey-based booze that they refer to as sparkling nectar, which is basically a sort of fizzy mead type thing. I sampled the honey and ginger one, which basically just tasted exactly like ginger beer, with the added bonus that it actually gets you wrecked. And they've also got a selection of games to help break up the boozing a bit, including Cornhole, that one that Americans get all hot and sticky over. Now next up is one of the UK's biggies, Moor Beer, based Bristol way. Love the suitably Halloweeny decor, perfect for an October booze fest. Although the scariest thing here was just how difficult I found it to actually get out of the egg chairs, thanks to a combination of my knackered old knees and my alcohol-soaked brain. I tried the new Hoppiness IPA, which was really nice, thanks for asking. At least I think it was, everything is getting incredibly hazy by this point. And the limited amount of commentary I actually provided in the videos was getting more slurred and incoherent. Now the last stop on Enid Street, or the first if you're doing it in reverse, is It Ain't Much If It Ain't Dutch, which is pretty difficult to say with a rancid head. That took about 3 takes. It was even harder with a belly full of beer and weird honey shit. Now again, this is a bit of a cheat because it's not a brewery or a taproom, it is just a regular bar, but Dutch beer is bloody lovely, so we said bollocks to it. Just beware if you do stop here, because a few of the many beers on offer do dip into double-digit strength, and some are actually stronger than wine. Now this is the point on the Bermondsey Beer Mile, certainly as far as this vlog's concerned, where things went very badly wrong indeed. Quite a lot of the video I captured resembles found footage from a Blair Witch extravaganza, and my notes on what alcohol I consumed and general thoughts on each bar have basically devolved into the jabberings of a lunatic. For this one, I simply wrote birds. Really helpful, that probably referring to the many cartoon birds scattered across the ceiling and in various other bits. And I've also written down comforting slutters, which I think is just a badly spelled reference to one of the stronger beers on the menu. Did I actually drink that beer? I could not tell you, but the state of my bloody head says probably yes. Oh, and you can also pad out your stomach with Dutch delights like a bit of bitterballen, which sadly I shunned in preference of a liquid dinner, thus contributing to my eventual downfall. And now we're finally off Enid Street. We're on to the next long stretch of the Bermondsey Beer Mile, which is Druid Street. And it is suitably magical, as the name promises, boasting over half a dozen quality drinking spots. As soon as you spy the dapper-looking pigeon, you're at the next place, Anspach Hobday, which still brews beers right on site, although most of the operation has now unfortunately shifted out to Croydon. And here I drank some more beer. Again, no idea which beer, but I seem to be really enjoying myself. That right there, that is the expression of a man who is winning at life. Now, just off Druid Street, you will find Hiver, or Hiver, however you're supposed to pronounce it, which is coincidentally another purveyor of honey-based booze on the mile, though this time it is actually beer, just with added honey goodness. Now, presumably I tried one of these honey beers, but again, bugger all notes, and I didn't even bother shooting any video of it, so make of that what you will. Oh, and if the thought of honey beer makes you sick up in your mouth a bit, well, no worries. Hiver actually own a second bar, which is a short shuffle away, called the Fable Beer Hall, which does a good bit of classic British lager. Now, on the way to the next taproom is another essential stop, especially if you're a jerky fan, Billy Frank's Craft Beer and Snack Shack. Now, Billy Frank's makes awesome beer snacks and also serves you beer that you can drink while you eat your beer snacks. And I ask you, is there a finer combination in life than alcohol and jerky? Yes, there most definitely is, but it's still a pretty decent pairing. And here, marvel at the northern pisshead attempting to open his bag of turkey jerky, only for it to slip through his dainty trembling fingers. The second time's a charm, thankfully. And the verdict?
Hold on. Oh, good. What? Good shit.
Right. Next stop on the mile was the Barrel Project, a taproom owned by the London Beer Factory. And here you'll find some of the more outlandish experiments housed in hundreds of old oak barrels. Certainly a very cool place to enjoy a wee tipple, and sadly have absolutely zero memories of it. Now, the penultimate stop on the Bermondsey Beer Mile, certainly if you're doing it in our direction, is the Kanpai Taproom and Kitchen. And by this point, it's all gone to complete bollocks, because not only have we had 2 honey booze joints and a jerky shop on the list, but this next place is a bloody sake bar. However, your Uncle Spurt is a bit of a sucker for sake. A sake sucker? It sounds all kinds of wrong. But essentially, by now, I've consumed enough alcohol to euthanize an adult hippo, so all rules are out the window, basically. We tried a few of the offerings, Christ knows what, and apparently I was enamored enough with this dude's Cher-inspired shirt that I had to shoot almost 3 whole minutes of video on it. Now, the final stop on the Bermondsey Beer Mile, the London Bridge end of it, is Southwark Brewing. And at this point, I'm probably struggling to remember, is drinking beer after sake a particularly smart idea? Beer after sake, time to party? But anyway, it's all academic, because apparently this place actually closes at 7 PM on a Saturday for some bloody reason, so by the time we got there, it was already bastard shut. And to be honest, I think that's actually a small mercy, because all of the footage at this point is just an absolute clusterfuck.
Hang on. There we go. Oh shit.
So anyway, I guess after all of that, this means that we actually failed to complete the Bermondsey Beer Mile, fallen at the final hurdle, although how we actually managed to make it that far, I've got no idea. But always an excuse to actually attempt it again sometime soon, possibly in reverse. Well, starting with sake sounds pretty bloody dangerous, but I'll certainly be padding my stomach with more than just a few strips of fried chicken and some turkey jerky. And so another spectacular beer vlog comes to an end, but definitely let us know down in the comments if you've attempted the Bermondsey Beer Mile, what your favourite spots on the mile are. For me, it's probably the bloody first place we went to, the Kernel, because it's massive compared with most of the other joints. You've got a great selection of beer, all kinds of different types, and of course you've got banging Japanese food as well, so what more do you want? But also a shout out to Mash Paddle for the banging dad rock. Good old Moor Beer as well for the excellent decor and again fantastic selection of beers. And also It Ain't Much If It Ain't Dutch, which I hope to return to soon in a slightly less inebriated state. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more Beery shenanigans, and have yourselves a bloody wonderful rest of the week. Cheers, everybody. Love you.
Good night, everybody. Sleep well. Sleep well. Bye.